Welcome to the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors and sponsored by WorkHuman. Thanks for joining me for your quick briefing on what's important in the world of work. My name is Steve Boese. Today in the show, we're diving into what is for some companies the newest role to take up residence in the C-suite, the Chief Trust Officer. We'll take a look at just what the role entails, while more companies are adding the title, and what you should consider for your own organization. Let's break it down. The Chief Trust Officer, sometimes abbreviated as the CTRO, is emerging as a vital role in organizations where trust has become as important a measure as revenue or profits. The Chief Trust Officer's mandate goes beyond compliance or risk management. They're the guardians of organizational credibility, responsible for making sure that employees, customers, investors, and regulators can rely on the company to do what it says and to do it responsibly. So what exactly does a Chief Trust Officer do? Well, their duties span across some of the most sensitive and high-stakes areas of the business. They oversee data privacy and digital security, ensuring sensitive information is protected and used responsibly, and they champion ethical practices and transparency in decision-making. They partner with HR and culture leaders to foster safe, inclusive, and values-driven workplaces, and they often report directly to the CEO and the board, providing a clear view of how well the company is earning and sustaining stakeholder trust. And a growing part of the role today involves artificial intelligence. As companies deploy AI in products, services, and people processes, the need for oversight, ethical frameworks, and transparency has never been greater. AI's potential for bias, misinformation, or security risks makes trust both harder to maintain and more critical to success. This is why we've seen the Chief Trust Officer role gain popularity in recent years, because trust is how many organizations adopt and manage in the age of AI, and it's now just as important as trust in their financial results. So in short, the Chief Trust Officer is the executive charged with protecting the organization's most fragile but valuable asset, the trust of its people, customers, and communities. And in the age of AI, that responsibility is only becoming more essential. One example of how this new role works comes from Atlassian, the enterprise software company behind tools like Jira, Confluence, and Trello. In late 2023, Atlassian named Vikram Rao as its Chief Trust Officer, making trust a visible and measurable part of his executive leadership team. Rao was quickly recognized as a star player in Atlassian's shareholder communications, where the company credited him with strengthening compliance, governance, and security across its growing portfolio of products. His work has been tied directly to customer retention and growth, a clear signal that trust is not just a feel-good concept, but a driver of business performance. By elevating the role to a C-suite stage and trying to address concrete issues, Atlassian showed how a Chief Trust Officer can translate the abstract idea of trust into tangible bottom-line results. Big picture, though, the Chief Trust Officer still remains a niche role. A recent report from Forrester Research looked at 16 Chief Trust Officers and found their average tenure in the role to be just over 2 years. But companies are steadily announcing they have hired those with backgrounds in cybersecurity roles into this role. Many security experts see this role as becoming more mainstream. As AI disrupts the workplace, Chief Trust Officers will be needed to articulate what AI systems are built to do and that they're being built responsibly. And other factors driving the creation of this new role include the overall degradation in the public's trust of companies and institutions of all kinds. The 2008 financial crisis eroded trust in business, and those suspicions were exacerbated into the 2010s as data breaches and leaks of personal and sensitive information became more commonplace. And over the past decade, there's been pressure, especially for B2B companies, financial institutions, and the other organizations that handle sensitive data to build that trust back. Thus, the Chief Trust Officer is coming as a reaction to those pressures. The CTRO could be a way for companies to better communicate their goals and the tech that they're using, which is a more people-first starting point for rebuilding trust. So for HR leaders, the emergence of the Chief Trust Officer is both a challenge and an opportunity. If your organization is considering creating the role, start by clarifying what trust means for you in your context, whether that's data protection, ethical AI adoption, employee well-being, customer transparency, maybe all of those, and identify the risks and opportunities that are unique to your business. If the role already exists, HR can be a key ally by embedding trust principles into culture, policies, and daily practices. The best candidates for the position are those with credibility across multiple domains like privacy, data security, ethics, and people leadership, and that have the ability to influence across the C-suite. HR should help ensure that trust isn't just a silo, but is woven into every employee experience and leadership decision, making the chief trust officer not just a guardian of risk, but a driver of reputation. That's it for the show today. Thanks so much for listening, and a big thank you to WorkHuman for supporting the Workplace Minute. If this episode made you think about how your organization is addressing the growing need to rebuild trust, please share it with a colleague. I'm Steve Boese, and this has been the Workplace Minute from H3 HR Advisors.